Hours after Ukraine officials say a Russian missile struck a hotel, killing 4 people, President Trump with a new threat to Russian President Putin, posting Russia is absolutely pounding Ukraine and that he's strongly considering large-scale banking sanctions and tariffs on Russia until a peace deal is reached.
I'm finding it more difficult, frankly, to deal with Ukraine. It may be easier dealing with Russia, which is surprising because they have all the cards. And they're bombing the hell out of them right now. And I put a statement in, a very strong statement. Can't do that.
Here in Russia, it does not seem like ending the war will be easy, where it's now become a fact of life. In the Russian city of Kursk, air raid sirens are ignored. NBC News, the first US network to reach the region since Ukrainian forces invaded this Russian area last year, a response to President Putin's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. The mayor of Kursk shows us a makeshift air raid shelter, constructed 8 months ago. I want people to return to their homes, even if some of them are destroyed, he says. A road bristling with Russian military takes us to the frontline town of Rilsk, where the mayor shows us a concert hall he says was struck by Ukraine, killing 2 people. President Trump has said that Russia is ready for peace. We hope for peace, he says, and normal existence. In Kursk, Russian and North Korean troops are locked in a battle with Ukrainian forces. We have to liberate our territory, the mayor says, without question. He shows us a crater outside an elementary school. Do you think about the Ukrainian schools that have been targeted, the kids that have been killed in the past 3 years? That's a provocative question, he replies. In Russia, criticizing the war means jail, and no one we spoke to blamed President Putin. Everything rests on Zelensky, this man says. Others believe President Trump can help.
Trump's this wonderful man.
Tonight, President Putin says he is open to a ceasefire, but Russian officials say they expect concrete proposals.
Well, what result does Russia want to achieve?
I think that's it's a normal situation when you are operating between 2 big countries which have lots of common interests, because that is the will of your citizens. To establish comprehensive contact.
But how quickly should we expect there to be a summit, if there is one, between President Trump and President Putin? How soon do you think that might happen?
It depends on the both sides and the speed of the both sides.
Is Russia in a hurry?
We are not in a hurry, but we are ready.
And Keir joins us now from Moscow. Keir, in the conversation at the end of your piece there with Russia's Director of Information and Press, I understand you also asked her about the possibility of French and British troops in Ukraine. What was her response to that?
Disparaging, utterly disparaging. She laughed. She does this, and you never can tell with Russian officials when they're trolling and when they are really being serious. But clearly, the Russians want to send a message that they are not frightened of the Europeans, and they are being threatening. They are suggesting that if the French and the British put troops in Ukraine, that could escalate to a wider war. Fascinating, isn't it? Because, of course, the Trump administration and Trump supporters say that Europe is barreling towards a wider war, and yet some of the things that are happening now under President Trump, the Russians are saying, are indirectly leading towards that very outcome.
Keir Simmons, thank you.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.